Welcome back, everyone, to Kenna's Corner. I've got one of my besties here today, Braeden. It has been way too long of not being able to have you on here. It took a while to get you here.
It took a bit of time.
It really did. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm Braeden.
Wow.
I don't know.
You should say how I introduce you to people, or that one time.
Oh, I have celiac. Yeah, that's how she introduced me to people. Is that
I'm not quite sure why celiac. I did that.
No, we don't.
I regret it. So we're going to talk about kind of how we met and how we became friends. And Braeden's kind of been my wingman through all of time. Well, just as long as we've known each other. So we'll talk about that. So we should share that story for sure, of where the celiac thing came from. And then we'll also jump into kind of talking about how to put yourself out there and make friends, especially as a new semester starting for a lot of people. Braeden just started school this week. And then
USU.
We had a few anonymous questions sent in to me. So we might jump into those if we have time. So, Braeden, how did we meet?
Well, it was FHE.
FHE, which is like a church activity.
Yes, it was a church activity. And I had some friends there already in the ward that I knew, kind of. Like I knew their younger brother. Well, one of their younger brothers. And they used to be my old, church group. And so I was sitting next to them, and then McKenna came and sat down next to us, and we just started talking to her there.
Mm-hmm. It was like a Skittle game, I remember.
It was
one of those get to know you games where each colored Skittle means you have to answer a different question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the activity. I remember that. I don't really remember you guys saying anything in particular that was like, oh, I want to be their friend. No. We just I don't know, we sat by each other. And then I think the most memorable thing is when we went to that steak activity.
Steak activity.
So that was at the fun park.
Yes, it was a larger activity.
So that's like arcade, bowling, laser tag place.
It was a good place. But I can't remember exactly what happened, but this guy was hitting on you.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw you and we're like, oh, McKenna, she's familiar.
Yeah. And
she did not like she was enjoying it. And so we went over there and we thought about calling her, but then we realized none of us had her phone number.
Yeah, I was still really new. I had just moved here too. Yeah. We didn't say that. I had just moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
they were gonna you guys were gonna call me.
Yes.
And say hey, baby, pretend to be my boyfriend to get me out of this. And that's when I was like, these guys really care. They're trying to help me. And I barely know them. So from then on,
yeah.
We've been friends.
The guy went to grab the plates of pizza and throw them. McKenna was going to go up and throw it away. But then he came and it's no, I'll take it. And then we just left. We just escaped and went to laser tag.
Since then, I have learned to better communicate by just saying sorry, sir, I'm not interested. But at that point, I was still young.
It was a fun time. Yeah. But if she would have been able to do that, then we wouldn't have been friends. So
that's true. Yeah. It all worked out. That poor guy. I probably could have helped him.
I actually knew him
out a little bit. You knew him before, yeah. We won't say names.
No.
And then. Yeah, then we all hung out and bowled and did laser tag. And then we hung out all the time after that.
Yeah, the four of us hung out a ton.
Mm-hmm. Then we went on our missions.
Yes.
And we hardly talked.
No, we didn't email at all. I think
emailing
once or twice.
Hard. Yeah, once or twice. It's really hey, annoying. How's it going?
Yeah, because you don't really know what to talk about without asking questions.
Yeah, it's read my weekly email that summarizes everything I'm doing,
I was way lazy on Mondays when we write our emails.
Mm-hmm.
I spent most of the time just Facebook on with my parents.
Yeah, I would call all my parents, and I would send my group email to everybody, and then maybe one or two emails to friends. So
if people would email me, then I would email them back. But
yeah.
I wouldn't instigate anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we hardly talked for 18 months.
Yeah, and then you got back.
And then when I got back, then we were like, yeah, just like old times.
Just like old times.
Yeah.
I remember when we went for a walk when you got back to talk about who is your now ex. And that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Braeden was always so my mom like jokes about this too. So you were better at telling people I had a boyfriend than I was.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, I think so. Because I was always like, I don't want to be that girl that's like, I have a boyfriend, I can't talk to you, you know? Because, like, that's not true. You know, I can have a civilized conversation, but Braeden would read through the guy and be like, he's interested in you. He needs to know right away that you're dating someone. And so you would always be the one that would tell people.
Be like, hey, sorry, buddy.
And I told you to. I'm like, help me. Help me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why you've always been my wingman.
Yeah. It was pretty fun. Because most guys, like, when they go to single adult events, things like that, aren't necessarily there to make friends.
They're there to find a wife.
They're there to find a wife, which is funny because now it's like girls go to those things to make friends and guys don't. And then they get confused why all these guys are hitting on them. And it's like, well, you see.
Their expectation is different than yours. Yeah. Very true.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's quite entertaining.
That's kind of how we met.
Yeah.
But since then, you've gone to scout camp.
Yeah.
I've gone away to school, and we've still remained friends.
Yeah.
But I guess as young adults, I think we go through a lot of really dramatic life changes a lot. Like, it's very frequent. We're not quite settled yet. You know, we don't have our home we're going to be in for 40 years and a career, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what are some big life changes you've had to navigate throughout your young adult?
My young adult. Well, like, I mean, even like with young, and this is what some people nowadays are still going through. Is like, I was diagnosed with celiac disease at like age of 12. And so not eating gluten, going back to the celiac comment, not being able to eat gluten. And then with COVID hitting, that also changed a lot because I was going on a church mission, which was going to take 2 years of my life up, but it only took 14 weeks of my life up. And so I had to be like, oh, shoot. What am I going to do with now these, this all lot of time I have? Another thing that's kind of changed, I don't know, just the knowing that like, even though, because it's hard, because like you don't necessarily want to grow up and like taking on responsibility is hard, but knowing like the march of time continues whether or not you're ready. And so it kind of like forces you to, it's like you're on a roller coaster and you're already strapped in. It's like, well, you have to go on the ride. Like you can't just get off. And so you just have to you're kind of forced to just make it through it. And you do it a lot better than you think. But I think most people are super self-conscious about it. Because like at the scout camp we mentioned earlier, I was in charge of like this huge program that like, it was the first year of the program too. And they put me in charge of it. And I was like super stressed out. Because like what my expectations was not being met. I was like, this is terrible. And one of the scout leaders from a troop out of council, I think they're from like Washington, came up and was like, this is the best, trail of first class or first year program, I guess what it was, that I've ever seen. And that helped me a lot, but it helped me also like realize a lot of times we do better than we think we are doing, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Cause as adults, we have to move out eventually. We have to be responsible for our finances on our own and get a car, get a job. And it's hard and we fail.
Yes.
And it's good to like hear from someone saying like, no, like you're doing amazing.
Yeah.
Like I love hearing people say like, oh, at my age, I was not where you were at. Oh, yeah. Like you're doing great. One big thing we both had to do is start school.
Yeah.
And that's really intimidating because you have to do all your homework, get good grades, or you can't find a job in the future. Like this is very long term. So how do you navigate? Have you been trying to navigate like this new change of starting school again?
I think like I took a year off of school, and because like one of the semesters I had was really bad.
Yeah.
I failed like 3 of my classes. But then looking back at it, I was like, wow, I really could have like in the moment it was hard, but looking back, like I really could have done it if I just would have gotten to bed earlier on, to be honest.
Yeah.
And change a little bit of things in my life. Like it forces you to prioritize, like you want to have fun, right? Like obviously like,
and college is supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun. Yeah. You don't want to sacrifice, like you don't want to be depressed and not do anything fun ever, but it's like finding that balance of like, okay, well, I got to do my coursework. And then if I get that out of the way, then I can go, or right. Like however you want to try to trick your brain almost into wanting to do school. And then also finding something you really enjoy, I think is like key. I think a lot of people kind of sell out and, you know, they pick something. And so I was global communications, which is, you know, it was a pretty good major because you have to learn a language when you do it. So it was like pretty versatile. But then I was like, I really don't want to do this. And so I changed to geology, which is like so much cooler. I love it. I absolutely love it. And so going forward, it's like I was like, okay, well, I have this end goal of what I want to achieve. And so, and kind of like I combined my hobby and my passion and my future all together. Cause like the main goal for my life is like to get married and have a family. And so when I was younger, my dream was to make my own engagement ring, like facet my own ring. Right. And so that kind of goes in because I'm specifying in gemology and then the jewelry industry. So that kind of helps. So putting my hobby of like, you know, I like rock hounding, I like rock climbing. So that kind of hobby into it. And then as well as, well, I like jewelry and all that stuff. And so that's into it. And so finding those ways to change that, you know, your hobbies and your desires and your passions into making money so you can provide for, you know, your future family and things like that.
Yeah. And a lot of people, like I took a public speaking class last semester and we like had to do a persuasive speech.
Yeah.
And there were a few speeches, they were like contradictory. Like one person would say, you should study something that is going to make you money in the future. It doesn't have to be your passion and you don't have to enjoy it. And then other people, most people actually, because we were in a communications class, a lot of us do have the creative brain, the passionate brain. And so a lot of people disagreed with that. And they're like, no, you should do something that you love. That's your passion. And that's kind of where I fall too. And like what you were saying, that you found a career that's also your hobby so that you don't hate your job forever. You know, you'll actually enjoy it. And I think that's important for me. Everyone can do their own thing, but to make college more enjoyable, like you're way more motivated now, probably to do your homework and to get to bed on time and get to class because you're like, oh, I get to go to geology today. Like this is the best class ever.
Geology's lit.
Yeah. And that's how I feel about my clogging class.
Your clogging class.
I'm not studying dance, unfortunately. That would be very fun. But take a fun class or like do something extracurricular while you're going to school.
I'm taking a Tai Chi class.
I saw that on your Be Real. That was so cool.
It's pretty lit.
Because I served in California and there's a lot of Asian culture there. So we would be like exercising at the park and I would literally see people doing Tai Chi in the morning. It was so cool. I'm like, wow. Very peaceful and that's the slow one, right?
Yeah, that's the slower one.
Yeah.
It's an interesting, that can be another topic for another
podcast. Okay, so navigating school is find things that you enjoy. And don't lose yourself.
Yeah. You don't want to lose yourself in either. It's like finding a balance. Like there is a object lesson that we were always taught where like, you know, important things are like Lego pieces and like the things that don't necessarily like make you money or do things inherently that like progresses your future, like, you know, playing video games or reading books or things like that might not inherently make you like progress or stronger as a person, I guess. I mean, books probably, but it's something that you like, right? And so and those represent sugar cubes. And so they would like stack it up where the foundation would be mainly out of sugar cubes and they pour water on it and it would like dissolve all the sugar cubes. And so more like worldly things, you know, and which is okay, you know, to go to parties and things like that, go eat with friends, those more things, right? And play video games, right? Those things are the sugar cubes. And so finding a balance, because you don't just want Legos and just like not, you know, something sweet in life. At the same time, you don't want just pure.
That is a really good analogy. Yeah. Because you can have too much fun in college and bomb all your classes. And then you spent all that money because college is expensive. And it's just down the drain. But yeah, if you can find that balance between Legos and sugar cubes, I like that.
And sugar cubes.
You're very good with analogies.
I like analogies.
We should just make a book called Braeden's Analogies.
Braeden's Analogies.
Do you like make them up? You make some up and
I
then
make
you
a lot up.
read some or
Yeah,
find some.
that analogy was when I was younger, a bishop would do it. And he would do like
Okay.
spiritual things were Legos and like worldly things that are good,
still,
but aren't necessarily like spiritually building.
Mm-hmm.
We're sugar cubes. And so that's where that came from. But there's a lot of
I like it.
There's a lot of I can pretty much make up an analogy for anything.
We'll see how many analogies we can put in this.
Oh gosh, we'd be here for an hour if I did that.
Okay, you have been, because I came back from FSY, or no, I came back from school. We'll say that first. So I went away to school from January to April.
Yeah.
I came back and you were very independent, had new friends, and I was like, dang. No, I'm just kidding.
Dang, wow.
Dang, you replaced me. No. How do you go about like making new friends, especially with how young adults are always changing? There's so much turnover.
Yeah.
And like friend groups, just because we go our separate ways with different opportunities we have with education and jobs.
Yeah.
How do you make new friends?
I think part of it is like, understanding that that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so like being just able to kind of like, it's hard because you don't want to, but you kind of have to.
Yeah.
But then just, some days, this is just for me, this is what I did, was some days I wouldn't really like, be completely sociable, but I'd still put myself out there and still go to things. So I met my now friend group, which is an interesting story. So
yeah, I don't think I even know this story.
Yeah, so you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
So this one kid that's in the friend group, I'll drop names, he doesn't care. Yeah. So Isaac, one day, he walked into the wrong apartment at this housing. And there is the friends that I was friends with there, Leah and Karen, and then they ended up, becoming friends, and they invited, I think, hot tubbing, and as well as to like a game night that I was going to. And so Isaac and Xander and I think a couple other guys were there the first time, and I met them, and they were cool. And then they came back again, and I met them, and we just started talking, stuff like that. And then I kind of have to. It's hard because you don't want to like invite yourself to things, right? You want to be like kind of that person. You want to feel like the person's thinking about you, right? That you invited. Yeah. But at the beginning, you kind of have to, because people can't read your mind. They can't be like, "Oh, Braeden really is chilling with us. Yeah, he likes us." Yeah. So you have to kind of be like, "Hey, get with their numbers and like text them like, hey, you guys do anything tonight?" Mm-hmm. And then come up with some stuff yourself. Be like, hey, I'm hungry. You want to go get some meat? And then,
that's always a good thing.
And we'd go get something to eat, and that's always a good thing. But you don't want to use it too much because we're not rich. But
that's true.
That was one thing, was just kind of putting yourself out there, being like, hey, and then after a while, they understand that you actually want to hang out, and so they'll invite you to things more, and then you kind of grow, and then in your classes, if you sit next to someone, ask them what their name is, mm-hmm. Compliment something about them. Something simple like that. Using their name is a key, mm-hmm. is one of the things that people talk about that is important. And then when you're further along in your college career, like you'll meet people that have similar interests of you, right? Because you'll be more taking specified classes.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you'll find more and more people. But at the same time, you don't need a ton of friends, which is kind mm-hmm. of interesting. Like sometimes when we go without a time period of not having friends, we try to like get a ton of friends, but all you really need is like a good small group of people
you can rely on, that they're like true
that you
friends.
Relate to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you all have kind of similar standards as well. Because that's super important. What we read and who we surround ourselves with, mm-hmm. or who we become, kind of a thing. We have that influence always with us. So.
Yeah, especially if you like move out and you're like totally on your own now, your friends really, really influence you. Yeah. So I do think it's super important when you're going to school or when you move out that you choose the right kind of friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, put yourself out there by just ask someone what their name is in class and like genuinely try to get to know them.
Yeah.
Like, let me see how many things we have in common. That can be your goal, when you're trying to get to know someone. But it's cool how kind of networking happens. Like you met your now friend group by accident through
another friend.
Yeah. And it really worked out. Yeah. And they're a lot of fun.
Oh, they're dope. So, the homies are dope.
The homies.
That's what they call them. The homies.
Oh, they call themselves.
No, I call them. Okay. I called them the homies, and then they kind of like took that name.
Yeah.
I just referred to them as the homies.
The bros. Would you say you used to have more girlfriends?
Yeah.
Because I think I was like, whoa, like Braeden has a lot of guy friends now.
Yeah, before, so like I'm close as an age with my sister, so I get along a lot with girls. And so beforehand, yeah, like before my mission, most of our friend group was mainly girls.
Yeah.
We had like, the two guys, and then, but mostly it was like the girls, and then they all got married. And then,
how could they?
Yeah, I know, right? And then when we got back, it was mainly girls again. There was like 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I went to...
I was friends with them too.
Yeah, you were in the friend group.
I was there. Yeah. I'm one of the girls.
You were one of the girls. And then, I went and I was like, I need more guy friends. And so I just... It's hard. Like, I have... Like, I'm a little bit more extroverted, a little bit. I kind of balance between the two. Like, I'll get burnt out sometimes and need time alone. But I really like the social aspect of things. And so I understand, like, some people it's hard. But I talked to a guy once, and he's super introverted, like super. I knew him, and I knew his younger brother in high school, and I kind of knew him a little bit. And he was like, didn't talk to anyone. Yeah. Like, would just go to school, go home. And he started, he challenged himself to start talking to people. And, I saw he put a lot of work on it, and it was hard, but he just kept going and going. And we talked for like 30 minutes. Like, I actually got to go. Like, I love talking to you, but like, I got to go. But he straight up said it. He's like, it's a necessary skill. You can't, it's hard. It's definitely hard. It's not easy, but if you put effort into it, then it gets, it pays off, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so
that's true. If you really do want to make friends, you've got to commit.
Yeah.
You've got to be like, hey, I have to get out of my comfort zone and just do it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I treat making friends almost like dating, to where I'm so picky sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll have a lot of friends, but I won't like hang out one-on-one with many people. There's a select few that I will really hang out with.
Yeah.
And like open up about my life with.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I need to just be more willing to let people in.
Yeah. I'm super open. Like, if anyone asks me any question, like, at all, like, I'll tell them straight up. Like, any question. I haven't had, I think, any question that I didn't answer, like, truthfully. Like, I don't really, I don't have much to hide.
And I think that's why so many people feel comfortable coming to you.
Yeah.
Is because you're able to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So then they feel like they can too. Yeah.
It's a good time.
Braeden, everyone. He's single.
Oh my gosh.
Well, thanks for joining the episode. I think this is an important topic as school's starting. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys to learn how to put yourself out there, make new friends, and also navigate big life changes.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll like the new logo. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I haven't. I don't think I have.
It's pretty cool. You want me to show you right now?
I think I saw like you posted that you had one.
Yeah.
Not that you had one yet.
I'll show you.
Oh, let's go. Nice.
It's not a picture of me eating ramen anymore, unfortunately. We are moving on to... I know. Someone actually messaged me and was like, I kind of miss the ramen.
Dang. Really?
Like, the ramen can always come back. So, for now, this is the new logo. And I'm also working on an Instagram account for Kenna's Corner. So, I will be more willing to let random people follow it because it's not my personal life. So sorry if I've deleted your request to follow me, but yeah, this has been in the works, and now it'll be a little more easy to hear about the episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks again, Braeden, for joining. Any last words?
No, I don't think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll tune in next week, every Saturday at 10. We'll talk to you then. Bye.
Harsh wave. Yeah.